Sir? Sir, are you listening to me, sir? Sir, I'm talking to you! Sir? Sir?
What's going on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Now, it is the start of the week. However, it doesn't matter when you're watching this video, because what I'm about to tell you today, actually, it doesn't matter if you watch this video on Wednesday or Thursday or even Friday, potentially, because what I'm about to tell you is very important. So Bitcoin had an interesting week, and I want to talk about what we're seeing, because obviously a lot of people, they're bored. They're thinking maybe Bitcoin is failing or it's lagging, right? We've seen the S&P have a major rebound, almost going back to all-time highs. Gold has hit an all-time high, right? Although, what is the percentage really? If you were holding gold. But anyway, what we want to talk about is Bitcoin, because there's a few things on the charts right now that could be signaling that we may be entering a pretty exciting time for Bitcoin, all right? Now, I know historically you don't tend to get the all-time high before the halving. We did get that this time. So the cycle is a little bit different, but remember, you usually tend to see those big price moves somewhere between 140 to 180 days after the halving, and we're kind of entering that sweet spot right now. So if you have stuck around and you have been, staying in crypto this whole time, not getting bored, not getting freaked out or shaking off sides with some weak hands or something, I think today's video is going to be pretty important to go over. So let's just start super quick. And I know a lot of people are not into the TA, but you cannot ignore what is happening right now. Now, we were in this accumulation range for a very, very long time, and we finally fell out of it. And yes, you could say arguably we're putting in these lower highs, right? And we're putting in these lower lows. So you would say that ultimately this is a downtrend, right? But what we're seeing is that we are back inside of this accumulation range. And even though we did have this fake out down here, what we have found is support right here on this upward sloping trend, right? You could see right here, we did have that sort of bounce off of that area. Now, yes, we are hitting the top of this channel right here, which is acting as resistance. What you want to do is break out of that and flip it into support, right? But there is a pattern we've been talking about on this channel for quite some time. Now, here's something else that I find very interesting, is that we also have the DXY continuing to put in these lower lows. And you can see right here, this was basically our last area. Right around that 100 area is where we said, if we start to see the DXY really break down from this area, plus not to mention the fact that we have had some fundamentals that have been positive, right? We had Trump coming out and talking at the Bitcoin conference. We also had Powell sounding a little bit bullish, I would say bullish for us, right? In the sense that they may be looking to cut those rates, which, as we know, we've been in a Fed tightening cycle. And when they do tend to cut the rates, on top of the fact that you have the dollar falling and we're probably most likely going to have that money printer turned on, well, that is when you tend to see that perfect storm for these risk assets, and Bitcoin would most likely benefit very greatly if that was to happen. However, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. There is one thing that we need to pay attention to, because if Bitcoin can't do this probably by the end of this week, well, then we may not see those incredible price moves that we're looking for, right? So again, if you're watching this video and it's Wednesday or it's Thursday, what we're about to go over today is still 100% applicable, right? So that's what I want to talk about, because obviously we have this, giant, pattern where it looks like lower lows, lower highs. But remember, we said that this actually could potentially end up being a bullish pattern. I did want to just mention, guys, that just because I haven't been making a lot of updates, because really there's not much to talk about, but we do have a $10,000 deposit and trade reward over on Blowfin. That's going through September 5th. If you are interested, make sure you guys check that out. And also, quick reminder that MetaSignals is going to be ending their free trial. So, you guys have had like 2 months to get a free trial. If you are interested, I still highly recommend getting the NFT lifetime access, because it gives you the best bang for your buck, and you are grandfathered into literally all of the upgrades in the future. So MetaSignals copy trading, check that out if you guys are interested. So getting back to the Blowfin chart, okay? If I had actually extended this out a little bit, so over here, for example, we have this smaller channel. If you broaden the channel out, you still are noticing the same thing, where you're kind of still dancing around it. Maybe on this chart, it looks like we're attempting to hold it as support, but regardless, you can't deny that this is a very important level for Bitcoin. And as I had showed you guys, yes, it does seem like, we've been going going sideways. We've been accumulating. We've been, having lower highs, lower lows. But if we go way, way, way back to the very, very, very bottom, we had arguably the bottom, around sort of January of last year. With the exception of this small bear trap, we've basically supported that channel. And once we flipped it, it actually acted as support. Well, look what happened. We had this major wick down here to the bottom. It got bought right back up, and Bitcoin was able to flip the longer term uptrend to support. So that's showing me that really, until we fall and close below this support right here, we're still in a constructive pattern. And, if you want to realistically talk about falling down today, that could say that we could have some kind of a flash crash down to 58,000 and Bitcoin would still be technically in this uptrend. And we also officially got the buy signal on this hash ribbon indicator, which we know has been accurate for, I believe it's like 88% of the time. And what it does signal is that we're probably going to continue, and we're most likely going to end up putting in some type of a high. What it doesn't guarantee is that that's going to happen overnight. In fact, more times than not, it tends to actually pull back before moving to the upside, right? The good news is that we are back above the 2.36. So, again, guys, when you're looking at these extensions, there isn't really anything else outside of moving above this high. If you take it back to the previous, we talk about levels of 102,000. That would be on the lower end, but we are above the 21 exponential. And look what we're about to have right here. This is what we were talking about, guys. We are about to have a weekly golden cross where the 100 is about to move above the 200. And whenever we have this pattern, basically, where we're going 200, 150, right, in that order from bottom to top, as you guys can see right back here, right, we have the 200, we have the 100, we have the 50, and we're finding support on the green line, the 21 exponential. That is when you get out of this consolidation and you start that massive move. So, if you thought that the big move has already happened, well, it looks like it may actually just be beginning. But unfortunately, these things take time, especially when you're talking about weekly candles. You need to wait an entire week to put that candle in, right? So it takes a long time to get that information. But if you want to switch this to the monthly candles and still keep this at above the 0.236, look at this. It's a lower low, yes, but on the weekly, look at that, guys. Look at that amount of buying. The lower it falls, the more buying you see. Do you see this? We have this wick. We drop down to about 53, boom. We drop down to 49, even bigger wick. So this is showing that somebody, I don't know if it's the institutions, we don't know, but someone out there is defending these levels and they are buying up these cheap Bitcoin while everyone else is panicking. Someone, maybe smart money whales, they are taking advantage of these dips. If this was a situation in which they were selling to get out of it, you would be seeing the opposite. You would be seeing large wicks to the upside. You're not seeing that. In fact, the wicks to the upside, they're all relatively about the same size, but to the bottom, you're seeing that massive, massive buy. And we are back above the EMA ribbon, totally. Now, we said we could have gone as low as around 47,000. We got to, 48 and change, so we didn't even hit that bottom. And if you want to go back here and say maybe we're doing something like, this mid-cycle correction, well, once we got back above and got support, Bitcoin went higher. Now, yes, granted, it was a double top, but Bitcoin still ultimately ended up putting in a higher high. And I personally don't think that what we're doing here is what we're doing here. Some people may argue with that and say we are. I don't believe that. I've given you multiple reasons why I don't believe that. It's a very different scenario this time, especially with these ETFs, etc. And another thing to notice is you could say that this is a bearish pattern, right? We're putting in lower highs, we're putting in lower lows, but it's not actually. What you're doing is you're forming a megaphone pattern. So remember back here, Bitcoin had a mid-cycle rally, right? We went up to the top here. We had our bear market. We came back up here, mid-cycle rally at around 14,000. People thought that this was a failed rally. We started consolidating. Now, yes, this was technically the COVID crash, so we always have to, take this with a grain of salt. But ultimately, the pattern still stands. And what you were having was this megaphone pattern where you're starting to put in lower lows, lower highs. But once you had that consolidation, right, you retested it. Actually, if I was to extend that, that would be a retest. And then boom, that's when you had the massive, massive breakout. And I could imagine, I was there actually, I don't have to imagine, how many people were just giving up right here saying that was it. We all got fooled. We all got, the blanket pulled over our eyes, wool pulled over our eyes, whatever you want to say. And what happened, look what we're doing here. Same exact concept, guys. And this is the same thing where people are saying, look, we're putting in these lower highs, we're putting in these lower lows. This is it. That was the top. The rally's over. And, when you look at these types of scenarios, boom, as soon as you break that, right? So once we get up here, and we don't even have to technically get up to 73, all you have to do is get up to around 68 to 69, have a little bit of a retest, and that could be the start of the massive, massive move. Now, one thing that, if I want to be realistic, could be a little bit concerning, that if we don't get this confirmation, specifically what we really want to do, ultimately the most bullish would be closing above that $68,000 level. But really where we're at right now is a really important level, because if we look at the Pi cycle indicator, what had happened to us when we had that mid-cycle correction was we had the moving averages moving close to each other. Now remember, when these two averages touch or when they cross, for example here, that usually signals the top. Right here, that signals the top. We have not had the cross yet, but if you notice back here, we started to have them diverge into expanding away from each other. And unfortunately, what that did, it did not end the bull rally, but it did postpone it for a few more months, okay? So if we start to see rejection here and we start to see these moving averages diverge like this from each other, that doesn't mean that the top is in, but it could mean some more accumulation, which would be very boring, I'm not gonna lie. But at the same time, what we were actually worried about was we were worried that price action was happening too fast, right? And I know that's what everybody wants, but we were worried that it was happening too quickly, having a new all-time high before the halving, right? Usually you need that 140 to 180 days. We were already there before the halving. So what I was a little bit concerned about was if the price was moving too fast, too quick, then we would actually have a shortened cycle and we wouldn't hit some of these higher levels that we were looking for. But if Bitcoin, and I'm not saying that I'm hoping Bitcoin goes into another several months of accumulation, I think at this point it would be healthy enough to start that move. But if we did have that, monthly consolidation without the black swan COVID, obviously I don't think we're going to take out any of these lower lows, but if we were to have that, I think that would just be building a solid base, a solid foundation, and then we would have that 4-year cycle. We would have that potential, $200,000 to $250,000 Bitcoin. On the shorter term case, if we were to move and hold above that level short term, then I think you might see the markets top out early next year. But I still think you have that potential for $120,000 to $150,000 Bitcoin. And if you want to take it on the low end, you have that Fibonacci at around 102. 102,000 would be a pretty weak rally, pretty weak bull market for Bitcoin personally, but that's just kind of taking it on the conservative end. So ultimately, guys, that is it for me today. Just wanted to give you an update. I know some people don't like watching TA. There's really not much news to go over. That's why I'm not making a lot of these videos, because I'll just be saying the same thing over and over again. Once we get these confirmations, once we get some serious move, we're going to get that golden cross. It's going to happen. I mean, it would have to take a catastrophic event to not have that happen. And generally, you will see that within, a month of that, I would say you're going to start seeing these crazy moves. So what is the ultimate thing that I'm trying to tell you guys before I end this video? The main thing is that patience is going to be the key in this game. I don't think that the market is over. I do not think that we have topped. And with the exception of, that moving average, which suggests on the Pi cycle top that we could have an extended period of accumulation, I still think the bull market is on. And that's what everything is showing me. And I think now might be the time to start paying attention. If you've been out of the markets, if you haven't been dollar cost averaging and you're looking to really get those gains, because don't forget, some of those biggest candles, some of those fastest moves, they happen in a very short time. That's what it does. Markets bore you, they depress you, they make you second guess yourself, and then when you least expect it, you open your portfolio and, Bitcoin is up 150% and you're just kicking yourself because you wish that you had accumulated more while it was so boring. So that's it for me today, guys. If I don't make any updates, watch today's video, go back again. Everything is still playing out basically as we had anticipated. I think next week we're going to have some very interesting data to go over, and yeah, it might start getting exciting again. Maybe to the downside, although Again, downside volatility for me would just still be in the accumulation range until we break that massive level, that massive parallel uptrend. Then we could talk, but we haven't broken that yet. And all we've done is we had some exuberance after we had the ETF. Now we're having a cool off period, and we've seen every time we get these dips, the harder we fall, the more we bounce back. So that is telling me that the demand is still there, guys. So thanks again for coming back to the channel. Like this video, share it, comment below if you want. Take advantage of if you guys want to check out these tutorials. Also, don't forget there's that $10,000 bonus right now on Blowfin. So again, if I'm not here to remind you guys, use the link below in the description. And also, MetaSignals is going to be getting rid of the free trial. So, if Ethereum doubles, it's going to cost you twice as much for the NFT. Just saying, do what you want, guys. But I love you. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.